On today's show, we have none other than our boy, Dallas Alexander. Now, today's conversation is not about his longest shot. We've talked about that already, and you can find the link to our last conversation right here in the description. But we actually chatted about what's keeping him together. What is he doing in terms of health, fitness, nutrition? I want to know because in my mind, I came up with this protocol and I wanted to run it by him to see if I was on point. Not only that, we're going to do something a little bit different today in the episode. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Dallas is on tour. He's traveling across Canada, and I'm going to put a secret word. It's going to be in the episode. You're going to have to find it at some point. Might be at the beginning, might be at the end, and you're going to have to drop it in the comments to win a pair of tickets to one of his shows. So if you're interested in seeing Dallas live, who rocks the house, because I've seen him live, it's freaking awesome. You're going to want to tune into the episode, go back and forth, find out where this spot is while this freaking jet flies over my head, and drop it in the comments, and I'll pick one winner randomly from the comments. So share it with your friends. If you want to go see Dallas, we're going to sort that out once we pick a winner and get you tickets ASAP. So enjoy the episode, share, like, comment, subscribe, do what you got to do, and drop the secret word in the comments for a chance to win tickets to Dallas's show. All right, that's it for me. Let's get right to the episode. Hey folks, as you may have seen, I just got back from a BJJ and healing retreat for veterans put on by David and Cordy from Becoming Ohm, a husband and wife team doing incredible work for veterans' mental health. But my involvement with them actually started before that. I've been working with them in their online coaching program for the last 3 months, and I'm already signed up for 3 more. What I love about this program is that it meets you right at where you're at. You don't have to fly to Mexico or go sit in the jungle to start healing. They help you make real changes in your day-to-day life while teaching you how to work with plant medicine in a safe, intentional, and grounded way. This isn't some weird hippie stuff, but like a legit way to improve your mental health. For me, it's helped me stay more present with my family and respond better in situations that used to set me off. They've worked with over 100 veterans, first responders, and civilians in the last couple of years. If you want to learn more, go follow them on Instagram at becoming.ohm and shoot them a message with the words hard to kill. David will hook you up with all the info plus a special offer just for listeners of the podcast. Becoming Ohm has been a huge part of my journey, and I know that can help you too. Even if you've been let down by everything modern medicine or Veterans Affairs has to offer you so far. My new book, Harden to Fuck Up, was written as a guide for anybody that follows the podcast and wants to put together all the things that they've learned from amazing guests. It is Dallas Alexander approved. Tim Jensen from Grunt Style wrote the foreword. And if you want to lose weight, you want to get a grip of your health, your waistline, and your mental health this year, I strongly recommend going to Amazon and getting your ebook, audiobook, or paperback copy immediately. Would love to hear a review, and train hard, fight easy. Let's get back to the episode. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, folks, a man that needs no introduction, sitting with Dallas. He's on the road. He's traveling from Alberta to Ontario. He's having a coffee, sitting down again. And since the last time we chatted, there's a lot that's happened in Dallas's life. So we want to check in, see how his career's going, see what he's thinking about, because I know you guys are curious as well. So Dallas, man, thanks again for hopping on the show and filling us in while you're on the road, taking care of business, man. How are you doing?
Hell yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me back on the pod. I'm excited. This is not my wine cellar here. I'm at a hotel, like you said, doing a cross Canada journey right now.
Right
so
on.
I found the place with the best lighting and the best coffee.
Right on, man. I think that's all you need in life, right? Good lighting, good coffee. Maybe a good woman. That helps too.
Probably a couple more things, but both of those things help, yeah.
Shit. All right. So let's get into it, man. What's new in your world right now? You clearly got a cool new bus and you moved to Tennessee. How's that been?
It's been great. And I've been wanting to get down to Nashville full time for quite a while. I mean, I call it full time, but we tour a lot. So I was there. I'm still there probably only half the time. But there's so much value in that town for a musician and a songwriter. In between touring, and you can just be writing with, the best writers in the world and being surrounded by the best musicians in the world, constantly inspired, constantly just growing in your business. So it's been amazing so far. We moved down there and brought the snow for the first couple of days, which shut down the city.
I saw that. That's crazy.
Other than that, it's been really good.
Yeah, I saw that you posted about that snowstorm and you hopped right in the pool. They must have thought like this is the most stereotypical Canadian thing this guy could have ever done.
Yeah,
Just,
just
he
do a
just
shot of maple syrup, hop in the cold pool. Yeah,
and then like have your hockey gear and be like, "Hey guys, we
yeah,
like they're
yeah.
playing a game." Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I like what you brought up there. Like you got to be surrounded with the people that are doing the things that you want to do. Right? You got to surround yourself with the people. It's the five people that you associate with the most. If you do that, that's going to shape your next phase, like who you're going to be. So if you want to be a
Totally.
millionaire, hang out with millionaires. If you want to be a country music star, go down to Tennessee and hang out with country music stars. Speaking of, you released a really cool song, and it was on shoot, I forgot the name of it, but you just recently Fight for Him. That's it, which was just awesome.
Thank you.
I can't remember the name of the artist that you did it with. It was a collaboration.
Court, my friend Court Taylor.
Court, dude, that
Yeah.
was that's an incredible song, and like right at the I guess best time possible, because we're in this kind of healing phase now for all of us that came back from global war on terror. So for folks that haven't seen it or heard it yet, I'll share it here with the YouTube link. Can you tell us a little bit more about the song and how you guys collaborated on that one?
Yeah, so Court's a badass artist and writer I met in Nashville. And we were writing together, and she had this idea, and she said she like the way a songwriter works is you'll come into a room and whoever has an idea you can run with it or be like, nah, let's try something else. And she said it was kind of passed on a bunch of times, and she's like, well, I'll bring it up
Really?
because this might be the right person for it. And when she told me about it, it was about her grandfather going to Vietnam and having such a problem with VA after coming back. And I was like, wow, I can relate. And I know some folks who can relate. Yeah. So we wrote that song, and then we just went and kind of cut it as a video just to get it out right away and try and direct some charity money to a certain foundation. It turned out really cool. She's such a badass artist. When she sang it, I was like, damn. So I think we're planning on recording maybe just an acoustic version or turn it into a duet of some kind. Almost since we made that video, I've been out of town. So once I settle back into Nashville for more than a couple of days, I think we want to do a little more with it too, because I think it has a really important message in the song.
Fellas, bring it in. Nice and tight. Bring it in. Nice and tight. We need to talk about it. All right. Seriously. We need to talk about something that most of us don't want to talk about. That's why I put on my nice blue dress shirt to bring a bit of seriousness to an often hilarious topic. But your sexual health is no joke. Seriously, though, sexual health needs a lot more attention than it's been given. Let me go over a few things here. Research has shown that regular sex, what's 1 to 2 times per week, can reduce the risk of cardiovascular mortality by 50%. Bring that one to your wife right now. Lower the risk of prostate cancer by 33% and reinvigorate your mind and body. The problem is 40% of men in their 40s, 50% of men in their 50s, and 60% of men in their 60s experience some form of erectile dysfunction. This is even worse in the veteran community. On top of all this, erectile dysfunction is correlated with a future cardiovascular event and is an early warning sign of a future issue. This is why Dr. Elliott, board certified urologist and friend of the podcast, has created this one of a kind, first in its category, revolutionary device called the Firm Tech Ring. This high-speed tech for your dick will give you real-time data and allow you to see how many nocturnal erections you get every night, which can be a great bit of data that you can bring to your doctor for a future conversation. Not only that, this data could literally save your life. I'm all about improving the health and lives of the veteran community. And that's why I've paired up with Dr. Elliott Justin to provide you with a 10% discount if you head to the link that's here in the description to get yourself your first Firm Tech Ring if you use the code DMorrow at checkout. So head to the link in the description and start tracking so that you can start banging. All right, brother. So go do what you got to do and be one of the first to bring a whole new meaning to being hard to kill. Dude. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I've been working with the Grunt Style Foundation that got the PACT Act passed. They're one of the major players, right, with their foundation for toxic exposure from all the shit we breathed in and all the stuff we were exposed to over the last 20 years. But the unfortunate thing is like Canada hasn't really done shit. No, a few guys have gotten compensated because they had to literally sue Veterans Affairs to be like, hey, like I've got weird cancers, man. Like I'm 30 something years old, 40 something years old. And you're just going to have us like fight you individually. It's bullshit. Right. So, you know, music is right. It's a link to culture. And the fact that, you know, you did that song, man, it gave me chills because the way she sings, man, is really, it's almost, dude, it's almost haunting. Like
I was going to use the word haunting. Yeah.
It is. Because she's singing about something that like it means something to us, right? Like I don't know if I have a ticking time bomb inside me, right? You know, a lot of guys are probably thinking the same thing too. You especially, right? Like, you know, you did what 17 years in the forces, most of it in SOF. You guys are exposed to a hell of a lot more than us too, right? So yeah, it's hopefully we're at that stage now where like the healing process can begin, but they have to be aware. And by I mean like the forces that be, you know, they have to be aware that this shit actually exists. And I think music is a great way to kind of convey that message.
Yeah, and I think people too, like general population, like no one really knows that you get out of the military and VAC is dog shit. You know what I mean? You need an appointment, you need it immediately. People are literally on the brink of suicide and they're like, oh, someone might be able to see you in 18 months. And you're just like, the fuck? And then you wonder why, you know, suicide rates are so high and stuff like that. Like the support, it's not there. So I think just everyone knowing that is better instead of people being, oh yeah, well, don't you have Veteran Affairs to take care of that? Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world.
Yeah, the idea that Veterans Affairs is there to take care of you, that's one of my biggest missions. Like they're not here to take care of you. They're an anti-fraud agency. That's what they started in the First World War to make sure that all these guys that coming back actually got their benefits. And then, you know, the hundreds of thousands of other people, they had paper records. You could just say, yeah, I fought in the war. How would you know? There's no internet.
Yeah.
And it was a conscript army. So they were really just fraud prevention because they all had these benefits. So now they still keep this idea that's fraud prevention, even though we all volunteered to go. But yeah, they're not there to provide care. They provide the avenues for you to, you know, get some benefits and get yourself on your feet, but they're not a caregiving organization. We have to look out for ourselves. So it's cool that you're taking that up with your songs and pushing that forward because we definitely need a bunch more people. And like you said, general pop to kind of be aware that this is what's going on, right? So that being said, let's get into the Dallas Protocol. I wanted to bring this up with you because I was thinking about this for a while, man, because I'm watching your reels and I'm like, all right, Dallas is pretty healthy, dude. Like you kind of started out, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're doing some coaching, right? Like some health coaching?
Yeah, I was doing more stuff in that lane. And it was just through my life, I've always been interested in trying to just keep it together. You're in the military and you're deploying and all these different things. And I'm just like, I don't want to fall apart. I saw veterans that were, you know, or guys that were in and were sergeant majors and couldn't move and like had all these health issues. So like I started with, you know, stuff like paleo and fasting and all kinds of stuff, like probably almost 20 years ago now. Like when I first got to 3BP, that was, you know, 2007, 2008. So whatever that is, 18 years ago.
That's hard. That's hard for me to hear. Dude, that's like, 18 years. 2007 was 18 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, that crazy.
I'm like, oh man, that was like a decade ago. No, that's almost 2 decades ago. Oh yeah. Shit. Yeah.
So it was around then I'd always been interested in it, and you just learn a little tiny bit more, and then you learn to kind of course correct if you're like, oh, maybe that's not what's right for me, and that feels good and that doesn't. And because I spent so much time just trying to figure out what made me feel best. Yeah, it was probably just before music. I started like how people were coming to me with questions, and I was like, well, try this and that, and this could help, and this could help. And then I ended up like coaching people on some of their, it was more of routines, on big like daily routine, or kind of try to have set protocols so you don't have to think about it too much. Once it's a habit, you know what I mean? It's just, you do it and then you go on your day. It's like, you know, most people don't have to like set an alarm and 10 reminders just to like brush your teeth. You know what I mean? You just wake up and you do it. So if you can do as many things in your life that are good for you with that same habitual behavior, I'm like, it just makes it all smoother.
Okay. Do you have one that's kind of outside the box? Because a lot of people are on this trend now. I was just watching a reel making me laugh that my massage therapist sent to me. It's like, okay, you get up in the morning, you have your, 500 milliliters of water, you get your lemon, you get your salt, you get sun in your eyes, you get sun in your butthole. Like, it's just like, it's like, did you gratitude journal? Okay, did you microdose? Okay, it's just like this laundry list.
Yeah.
Do you have any ones that are kind of outside the box that some people might not be doing?
mean, I think this one is still drastically under talked about and rated. I don't know, but like I've been drinking like molecular hydrogen water for
The Brecca way.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because when he started talking about it, I was like, what product is he pushing? And then I don't know if he actually sells anything, but I was like, oh, I'm happy to hear someone talking about this because it's hard to find. You have to order it online. I don't know a single store that sells hydrogen, even health stores, supplement stores, but I've been taking it almost every day. Jesus, I don't even know how long since I can get my hands on it. Years. So that's one that a lot of people don't really know about. I think that Brecca dude is helping spread the word about it. I mean, that one. The rest of them are just versions of that laundry list you said. It's becoming very like trendy or whatever on social media now, which is good. I think if you're stacking up a bunch of healthy habits in the morning, I think it's a good thing. I think the videos and reels on them are hilarious. Also, if you start your day, I mean, I prefer to sleep more than waking up at 3:52 or whatever.
Yeah.
If I can sleep, I prefer to sleep. I think like to get up and sauna and cold plunge and hydrate and stretch and yoga and journal and do creative work and all. If your life allows for you to spend the whole first half of your day doing healthy shit, then I think it's great. But it is funny.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Hydrogen water, funny. I did a quick YouTube video on it. I think it was like 2 years ago because I was unaware. I was like, hey, but there's a shit ton of research on it. It seems actually pretty good for you. Because, dude, I'm like, well, you're just bubbling hydrogen in the water. Like, that shit's not going to work.
Yeah.
But apparently, lo and behold, it does. Like everything else in my life, I've been like, that shit's stupid. Like in 2007. Now I'm like, it might actually have some merit to it.
There's probably like, what's the placebo effect percentage? Like 30 or something?
It's like 20 something. It's pretty high.
That's not bad either. So even if I'm like, look, I just take this magic bubbly water and I think I'm going to live forever, up those odds by another 25% or whatever.
I think that's everything I do in my life. It's just belief. It's just all belief. Like I was just in the cold tank. Fuck, I'm still shivering. Actually, I fucked up. It's too long. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be ready for this podcast. But I think a lot of it's just belief, man. I'll be honest. Like you say, it's like there's a strong placebo effect. Like, what is it like? Dudes that have just a baseline belief in anything have like all cause mortality drop off a cliff. Just a belief system, like whether it's God or whatever, just to actually believe in something, like it literally extends your life. So I think that extends to most things. So in terms of the actual protocol, here's what I came up with. So we talked about your last song, Fight for Him, but you got a country music career now. You're all in on it. And music has been shown to be really great, especially in your case. Maybe we can touch on that. Mild traumatic brain injury. Like you were talking on Sean Ryan's show about getting dinged up. You talked on my show about getting dinged up a bunch of times. Playing music has been shown to start repairing those neural connections because, too many traumatic brain injuries, you get like these kind of dead spots in your brain, which sound fucking like scary. Was that something that you undertook because you were worried that, the concussions may come back to haunt you, or just like, nah, you just want to do it for your own, self-interest?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't for that purpose at all. It was more of a therapeutic songwriting approach and, version of songwriting that is like journaling or getting stuff out from inside. It was more that side of it than the healing powers of remembering music chords and learning new. It's a new language, essentially, you're learning.
Right.
No, I didn't really have that in my mind. I'm glad that it's a healthy side effect.
Yeah, no kidding. It's actually something I'm starting to get back into. My guitar's behind me there. It's a reminder that I need to pick it up and actually play from time to time because it gives you that, the fancy term is like cognitive reserve. I'm like, like you said, therapeutic. I just like playing.
Yeah.
It just feels good. So that brings me to actually a question from the communities. Folks in my Veterans Getting Fit AF community can ask podcast guests a question. I give them that for spending their time here and pretending to listen to me on a regular basis. So we have a question from William H. And so he is asking, Dallas, how do you keep your mind and body on point? Further to like what we're talking about here in the protocol, what's like besides the routines that we're talking about here and the habits, do you have something specific, especially for your body, that you like to kind of go to?
I think a big one, and I share this with lots of people, and not too many people do it, is like I do not get sick. I don't remember the last time. Like it's extremely rare. And being on the road as much as I am, and in and out of a different hotel and playing shows all the time, it should happen more. There's a breath work. It's like an 11-minute video I follow along with, and it's Wim Hof is the one guiding it. There's two versions of it. They're essentially the same. They just do longer breath holds as you get along with them. That thing is like some type of that mixed with the belief and the placebo effect, some type of magical thing, dude. The breath work is crazy. I've had times where I'm like, oh, I can feel it in my throat. Like you're like, oh, I feel something's coming on. I'll do that for a few days in a row. Gone. Like I since I've discovered this breath work 11-minute video on YouTube, just Wim Hof breath work thing, it'll come up. There's no reason to be sick. I've never been sick, I don't think, since I've discovered this breathing video. So that helps me a ton on the road. I'm constantly traveling. I've got little kids, I still just don't get sick.
It's amazing.
The magic of breath work.
So I'm glad you brought up breath work, because I just got back from Mexico, did this BJJ and microdosing retreat for veterans and first responders.
Cool.
Dude, it was incredible. You should definitely go. It was amazing. So great group of people, small group, was like 12, 13 people. So every day we were microdosing and we're doing BJJ and smoking a bit of weed at night, doing some yoga. And then we did a breath work like seminar for an hour and a bit. Now it's probably the same video we're talking about, the Wim Hof stuff. I do it at home too. Feels awesome. And like you, I don't usually get sick, even though I have little kids. So there's probably something to it. But man, I went on a freaking magical journey through the universe with this breathwork shit that we did.
Yeah.
Dude, I was shooting like Care Bear love out of my chest to I was traveling on these like purple lines of consciousness. I had the most powerful religious experience I've ever had in my life just by doing so. Like the Wim Hof, if that's the one we're talking about here, that you do, that one's a little bit slow and controlled, and there's a breath hold. We didn't do any breath hold, and I launched.
It's crazy.
That's just from breathing, and I felt like $1 million after. So that's really
super
cool.
Powerful. I've never done one that long. I'm just like these versions of this, whatever y'all still get, not quite there, but it's euphoric, tingly, relax, and feel amazing. It's powerful.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in the breath, and I'm only starting to realize how powerful it is. So very interesting that you use breath to bring yourself like a sense of calm and a good feeling, and might be one of the reasons why you're a superhuman and you're not getting sick. Very cool to know. We won't let Big Pharma know. We'll just keep that. We'll keep that to ourselves.
The video
we won't tell
banned.
them. Good times. Okay, so we covered off music for your protocol. We covered off PT, breathing, keto. Okay, I'm bringing up. You talked about paleo before. That's something that when we were hanging out in Atlanta, you're like, dude, I got a freezer full of butter. I'm like, what? Who does that? I do. I'm like, that's fascinating. And steaks. I'm like, all right, okay, right on. By the way, how's the butter dish treating you? Are you able to use it?
Yeah, we brought it to Nashville. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
That's
good.
a bit of a game changer right there.
It kind of is, man. I got to thank my wife for introducing me to that.
Thank you for introducing us. I was like, wow, that's brilliant.
It is. I've just noticed, my life improved about 10 points by just having that in my life, because I have fresh, soft butter whenever I want. It's pretty good. Folks, if you don't know what the hell we're talking about, I gave Dallas a butter dish, but not just like a normal, like English person's butter dish where it just like sits on the table like a barbarian. It's got the butter in it, and then there's a water receptacle. You put it in there and it keeps it fresh. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, send me a DM, drop me a comment here. I'll gladly get you guys sorted because it's going to improve your life. Okay. So you said about 18 years ago, you started doing keto-ish, paleo-ish, whatever it is.
It
What's
was
that like?
just getting into different food protocols. Like my whole life, I played sports and stuff, and it was like, look, all you got to do is make sure you're getting some protein and eat a bunch of carbs before you work out. Like you got a carb load before you play hockey or whatever.
Carb up, boys. Got to carb up. Big
basically
game.
all I knew. Yeah. My coach was like, eat some pasta tonight. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then it was right when I got to, I think, 3 ppcli. Even a little bit before that, I started just more about ingredients, more about additives, more about, coloring and all this stuff. And when I got to 3 ppcli, there's some guys on the paleo diet. And I was like, well, what's that? They're like, no bread, no pasta, nothing. I was like, what the fuck? How are you even working out then? You know what I mean?
Well, how are you not dead now?
Yeah. Blew my mind. But then I was like, okay, well, these guys are like performing. So I was like, let me check it out. So I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. And that was one of the first ones. And then eventually learned about keto. And then way down the line about carnivore. All of those things taught me about intermittent fasting and long fasting. And I've kind of just kept a version of, always is very aware of ingredients. So like we'll look at ingredients and like, it doesn't mean I don't have a pizza sometimes or whatever, but like when we're buying stuff, we're just very, very aware of ingredients, and it's become second nature. It's been like that now forever with food and anything I put on my body and anything we use in our house, any cleaners, anything. It's just that the ingredients are very important. And so that's taught me or got me down the rabbit hole, I guess, of keto and carnivore and whatever version of that I've landed on now, which is, mostly I eat eggs and beef and butter, like you said, fruit and honey, and fruit vegetables, I guess, because people don't, like cucumbers and tomatoes, which are fruit anyway, and avocado. But then that's mainly it. That's what my main portion of my meals consist of. So yeah, there's probably a lot of times, and I do a lot of, not a lot, but I intermittent fast and I do long fasts, probably 4 or 5 times a year, something like that.
How long?
Up to 7 days.
Oh,
is the
shit,
the
7 days?
That's the longest. That was the last long one I did was like a 7-day.
Oh shit!
It was just water for the first 5 days, and the last 2 days, kind of get back into it with some bone broth.
Okay.
Go on your merry way.
All right. Wow, 7. Okay. So I thought you were going to say 72 hours. I'm like, cool, legit. I've done 72 hours.
72 hours. But
That's
yeah,
really
I just,
good.
and it's not, there's a lot of stuff coming out now too with longer fasts and decreasing all kinds of different problems. And the theory is because of cellular autophagy, your body is like getting rid of all these non-usable and just are like cells that are damaged that could turn into, let's say, cancers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Mix that with placebo, buddy. We're good to go.
No, dude, man, we're rocking. I didn't know you did long fast. That's really good to hear. I've been a huge champion of fasting since kind of the same time, man. Like that 2007, 2008 mark for me was the big breakthrough I had, because I was a platoon second in command with a bunch of guys in Ottawa, and we'd go work out after our day was done. And 2 of the guys were just machines, and they put the workout of the day on the whiteboard. And one of the days it was Fran. I'm like, what the hell? What is this thing? And then we got into Fran, and I couldn't walk straight for fucking a week and a half.
Yeah, totally.
I was all fucked up. And then something switched in my brain, but then it just led me to the CrossFit Journal, and it felt like countercultural. It felt really cool to kind of be learning about all this shit when everybody else is just doing the same old. Yeah. And you start not eating carbs. People go, what do you do? I don't do carbs anymore. And it gave me a sense that I was better than everybody. So I really enjoyed
that's what CrossFit did.
Like, dude, do you even train, bro? So that was really cool. But I went down the keto route too, for the Ironman, and I felt like $1 million. The fact that I wasn't putting any, like I was doing blueberries and like apples for, carbohydrates. So, less than 50 grams a day. I felt like $1,000,000, man. I did the Ironman keto, and it just switched my whole way of thinking that, well, you don't actually need a bagel. You don't actually need anything in terms of carbs in order to survive, because as long as you have fat and protein, you're good to go. That being said, like there's a ton of research showing right now that the keto diet or just like carb restrictive has a really massive benefit for your brain, especially if it's healing from either post-traumatic stress or mild traumatic brain injury. And I don't know, do you supplement creatine at all? Do you pop? Yeah. Okay.
Almost every day, actually.
Okay. What's your dosage? 5 grams or 10?
No, it's 5. Yeah. I think most of my stuff, like supplement, I don't necessarily always bring it on the road, so I don't have it now. But the dosages of stuff too. It's like, what time do you take this? When you have, just make sure I get it in, and then I go on my way. I kind of try to keep it as low stress and obsessive behavior as possible, because I can get kind of obsessive about stuff.
Yeah, again, it's a fine balance between getting all your morning routine and routine shit in and not being a maniac and obsessive compulsive all the time. It's a fine balance, man. It's a fine balance. So then that brings us to, the cold. Is that something you've been doing your whole life, where you just decide, hey, I'm going to hop into a cold, freezing lake, or is this something new?
I mean, I was, because I was always on the outdoor rink, -40 in the middle of northern.
Wait, is there a story there, like falling in, or?
No, just being outside on the rink, just playing hockey.
Okay, gotcha.
Just like I was always in the cold. But no, the actual like ice bath, cold plunge stuff is, when did I probably like 2015, something like that. I mean, we're getting on a decade, I guess, but it still seems relatively new to me. I remember like being overseas and like stacking a freezer full of water bottles and then using like a dog bathing thing that they had for the canines and filling it with water and all these frozen water bottles, so I could like cold plunge and then suntan and then cold plunge and then suntan. So,
they're like, these Canadians, what are we gonna do with them?
To me, it's just like, you feel so good, and I get it. It also is crazy. There's the mental part of it beforehand. So like when I'm at home, let's say in Ottawa, it's wintertime, and I go outside in the morning and I'm crunching on the snow and I break the ice and I get in the thing, all of that, it's such a, I mean, it sucks. So there's like the mental part of it where you're overcoming something like that. And then you get in, then you do the cold, and you breathe and stuff, and you get out. And after, you just feel incredible. So it's like this mental part where I'm like, fuck, out of my warm bed into this fucking thing. Sucks. And then feeling amazing after, and doing that over and over. It's just like, it makes other things easier, I find.
Yeah. Is it an everyday thing for you?
If it's available. I mean, I don't have it. One of the goals is to have some type of on the road cold plunge. And I'm looking at some of the models now that they make. So because we tour so much, where I can go load into a venue, sound check on that 3 hours, 4 hours between sound check and showtime, have it like in our trailer, set up the cold plunge and those travel saunas, something like that. And just do like the sauna cold and some kettlebell. And I'm working on that for the trailer that we have.
Nice. Yeah, the cold plunge is the hardest thing that I do most days, right? I just got in before we hit record here. For whatever reason, today was particularly nasty. It still hasn't warmed up here, right? Like it's probably not warm where you're at either. It's still like hovering around 0. There's still ice on top. Thankfully, I go in with my buddy Ryan, and it just sucked today, man. But it's getting over that hump. Like, I know it's going to suck. I could just bitch out and
totally
nobody really care.
No one's gonna care.
Well, I mean, Ryan, my buddy Ryan would call me out and call me a bitch, but it's just him. My wife isn't going to leave me, I don't think. Kids will still love me.
Eventually, maybe. I don't know.
She might be like, you're kind of bitching out.
Yeah, like you're not the same.
It's like, I'm listening to this podcast with Dallas. I know he's married, but this guy's keeping his game pretty tight. Oh God, Dallas, you get me every time, man. You get me every time.
So that being said, it's your own internal mental battle every time. Which, if you can hop in it and you win that battle, it's just it seems crazy, but the other stuff in the day is easier.
Yeah, I have to agree. And there's a dopamine surge that you get afterwards, man. That's why I do it. Like right now I'm feeling it, right? It's just that, wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
Apparently it's better than Coke. I've never done Coke. But apparently it's way better. I'll take their word for it.
Some today here in Thunder Bay, and I'll let you know.
Can you do it? Yeah. Compare, contrast.
Side by side. So I'll go hop in the water.
Yeah.
Come out. I'll kind of get back to level. Now I'll go find someone on the street here. We'll film my fentanyl overdose.
Oh man, so good, so good that we can get all the drugs that we want in Canada, but we can't get a microdose
Yeah,
mushrooms
psilocybin. Yeah,
or
exactly.
psilocybin or like yeah. But, hey man, you know we're this close from having another liberal majority government. You know it's gonna be great, right? I
I
mean, what
mean,
could go wrong?
I'm in Tennessee, so.
Oh damn it! I forget every time. I forget every time. How do
But I'm
you
just kidding. We're back and forth a ton. We still have our
Yeah,
house in Canada. My family's
yeah.
still here. I have not run off from Canada, even though sometimes this government and the taxes make me
Kind
wish
of
all
feels
of anything I have financially were somewhere else. But I
yeah.
love Canada as a country.
Yeah, kind of feels like you're like, guys, see ya.
I mean,
I get it. I get it.
the
I get
timelines
it.
make it look like I said, "Fuck this place,"
Yeah.
but
Yeah, if you
it
didn't have
really
the
was.
music thing going on, I'd be
Yeah,
like, yeah, Dallas is really giving us the middle finger on this one. He's really
it
living
really
his best
was
life.
for country music.
Let's get back to the politics in 1 second. I just want to finish off the protocol here. The two last things are faith and magic mushrooms. Arguably, they could go together
Yeah.
with some wild theories that I've learned on Joe Rogan Experience. But clearly, you're a man of faith. You sing about it in your songs, and I like the fact that I think we have the same approach. One of your songs talks about, do I have to go to church again on Sunday? It's like, do
Yeah,
you really have to go? I suck at going to church. I'll be honest. I super
yeah.
suck at going to church and bringing the kids. I haven't even done it yet. So I still consider myself a Christian. I hope he considers myself a Christian still. But has that been something that has been consistent throughout your life? Your faith?
Uh, no. Well, the overarching feeling, and this is how I use faith, is that like I truly believe just everything's going to be okay. Like that's how I use faith. It's I believe on one side there's a whole bunch of things that we don't know. There's a whole bunch of things that we could have potentially misinterpreted as human beings when it comes to any religious text or religious kind of structure or system, and especially anything that's like very dogmatic. But I believe that we're gonna figure out that it's all okay. And like I believe that if someone walked in this lobby and shot me in the face, it would just be like I think it's gonna be fine. And we're all gonna learn that at some point. And that's where my faith comes from. My life has been I was very raised very religious, and then around 17, 18, 19 started questioning certain things within our like the religion Roman Catholic was how I kind of
Yeah.
grew up, and questioning a whole bunch of different things, and went through a period of my life just like questioning everything, and I still do that. um, I think there's a lot of valuable lessons in any religion that I've ever really looked at, but there's also a bunch of things that I think mankind, humans, got their hands on and twisted around for our own benefit in a lot of different ways. And I think if we don't look at those, we look at like the lessons that are in the Bible. Let's say like it tells you what a path is, and that heaven is and hell are kind of the consequences of not being on that path or sinning, just missing the target. And I think everyone can attest to that. I don't think personally that you have to wait until you die to realize heaven and hell. I think if you're
Mm-hmm.
not living your life on the path, and again saying sinning, which is the word comes from just missing the target with an arrow. If you're not doing it right, and most people have a guiding light, if they can listen to it, they know what that is. You're going to be in heaven or hell right here as we sit here. I think it's confusing, and I think we have confused time, where people say you will be eternally in heaven or hell. What does that mean? To us, it just means forever and ever and ever. But there's no time outside of the present moment. All of the line that we think of our lives on, in my opinion, is like, yesterday is the past, tomorrow is the future. And so if I'm really good today, I will forever be on the good side and feel nice in heaven. But if time is just what we created out of words, the only time that's real is right now, as we're having this conversation, is the present. And if I'm on the path, I will know, because I will be in heaven right here as I sit here for eternity, which is all time, which is only right now. And if I'm not on the path, then I will be sitting here in hell, and I will know it and I will feel it. That's what I believe.
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Yeah. That this is the deepest philosophical moment of the Hard to Kill podcast in 7 years, folks. And it's Dallas Alexander bringing the truth. Holy shit. Let me digest that for a little bit. Yeah, man, that's where I started to realize things as well. Like after my teenage years, we have that kind of rebellion. You're like, screw the church, man. Like, I don't need this shit. Like, you become kind of like a nihilist. And then was it around the same time that you had kids that things started to change for you, like in terms of faith, where you started like, oh, maybe this has got some.
It was just slowly, like the other stuff, like nutrition, like anything in life. It just slowly, I've always been pretty open minded. So I'm like, give me an idea that resonates with me, or I'll also attempt to poke holes in it. But if it's good, man, I'm in. If it'll make my life better. So I started just reading any kind of books. It all kind of lines up in my life anyway, where you're learning about nutrition, and then you want to learn about mental health, and then mental health sometimes goes into like spiritual health, and there's just all these different. I read a lot of books on all different topics, and it was just through that I started learning more about spirituality and just kind of forming my own beliefs that are even spiritually. My beliefs are pretty loosey-goosey, other than the fact that I truly believe with immense amount of faith that we're going to be all right. And that
that's really good, man. That's Bob Marley in his purest essence. I've got it in my head right now. Everything's going to be all right.
Exactly.
Well, that being said, if you're truly able to live in the present moment, like you say, then the potential for anxiety, you're probably not like, I'm saying this as like, devil's advocate. Like, clearly I've met you and I don't get a whiff of anxiety off of you.
I don't get anxiety. I think I've had it a couple times. This one time I felt it. I didn't like it. So like, now I'm definitely not an enlightened whatever being, but I really try to spend a growing amount of my day present. So for me, meditation is a practice for that in your day-to-day life. And then I'm also a dreamer. So like I spend time planning and designing the future that I want in my brain and trying to bring it to reality. And then outside of that, I try to spend the rest of the time present. And now my mind goes wild sometimes and it's here and there and thinking about crazy shit. But I've just practiced as much as I can and continue to practice bringing it back to that present moment, and this coffee I'm having, and this conversation I'm having, and the sunrise or sunset, playing with my children, and all these different things. And I think it's actually a hack to like slow down time also, because I look at time, like I said before, and that like the only part of it that's real is right now. Everything else is like a memory or a dream in future. And I think if you live too much in the past or the future, then you're going to have anxiety about what's going to happen or not happen, or depression and stress about what did happen and what you couldn't change. And in the present moment, like an example I've done with people is like, if I were to give you an ice cube, or I say like, put your hand on the table in front of you, what's the temperature of it? The second you do that, for that split second, you will not have anxiety. You will not have some type of crazy thought. You won't have depression. Just for that split second where you're assessing the temperature of that table, it'll be gone. If you can practice that to do it more of your day than less of your day, you're going to have more moments with less or no anxiety. That's how I look at it.
Finding the moments in the day that you can have that standoff where you can just let it sink in.
Yeah, and it's more, I think it's more just remembering to do it. Like we build a habit of, worrying about this and checking the time and stressing about this next appointment and this thing or this thing that happened before, this thing that might not happen. Whatever it is, everyone's life can be very stressful if that's what you pay attention to. It's just training yourself to remember, because every moment is a moment that's worth like being present for. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're just sitting by yourself on a bench somewhere, whatever it is, if you can just constantly remind yourself to try and remember to be present. Because most of the time, I think people want to, they just fucking forget because life is so busy and stressful. Like,
there's a comedian, and I have no idea what his name is. It showed up in my reels. He's like, because we grew up in the 80s and 90s, right? So we have a different recollection of somebody who's in their 20s about what life is like. Because in the 80s and 90s, our whole life was being in the present moment. This comedian's like, dude, he's like, we took a shit and you just stared at the wall. Like, it's pretty present. You know, like you're on the bus, you're just like, oh, I'm just staring out the window on the bus. Pretty present. You know, it happened like that all of a sudden we're no longer present, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We have to, like what you say, you have to actually think about being present. But I still remember what it was like just to kind of stare out a window and literally have nothing else to do other than stare out a window. And that was 100% normal.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing it. Now everybody's like, meh, and they're looking down and they're distracted. And so, you know, the individual that can master their present moment and just touch grass, you know, touch the table in your case. Frig, man, they're going to be like superheroes. People are going, wow, you got it together. It's like, no, I don't know. I just don't look at my phone all day. I don't know. Like I take a moment just to kind of think.
Well, and you can
it's powerful shit.
Just build on it slowly. Start with 2 minutes of meditation and go to 10. And then, I don't personally want to sit and meditate all day long, but let's say you do it for 10 minutes in your morning as a practice to be able to do it throughout your day. And as a daily reminder to be like, okay, this is what I want to come back to in my day. And I don't mean ignore the world and sit here and think about my breath. It's take in what is actually happening. It's take in the taste of this coffee, this conversation, and whatever it is you're actually doing. That's what I think the value in meditation is. I'm sure like gurus will be like, you're wrong. It's a bunch of other stuff. That's how I find it beneficial.
Yeah, that's from what I've learned, the essence, right? It's not the pushing out of all thought and trying to be completely zen. That's not really going to happen, man. It's going to be more, hey, what I've learned is you kind of start centering yourself. A thought will pop up and you'll be like, that's okay. We can just put that to the side, you know, and just be like, hey, so like, I'm not emptying my mind. I'm just okay with the thoughts that are popping up, just recognizing, hey, I have a thought. Cool. But how about we just go to that later?
Yeah.
Because my mind is a million things a second, man. I'm always, I think you mentioned dreamer. That'd probably be the best description for me too. I'm always thinking about new shit, right? And visualizing and getting closer and closer to that ideal, which is like the goalpost I'm aiming to, is basically how I operate. So I can often get lost in that dream state where I'm just always thinking about the future, not getting anxious, but just, oh, this is going to be exciting. I can't wait. It's like, hold on a sec. I got all this here, man. Like, hey, I'm really enjoying myself here right now, having a conversation with you. Let's not think about the million other things that could be going on in the future. So the last thing I just wanted to bring up is psychedelics, right? In the protocol. We just talked about faith, psychedelics. I just had, I guess you can call it my first, like, I don't know if it's a psychedelic experience because I'm microdosing. I'm literally microdosing as we speak right now. I'm following a protocol that has really kind of allowed me to just appreciate things a bit better. And like the simplest way I can describe it is when I'm walking and I'm by myself, I notice my steps, which is the best way I can describe the microdose experience. There's no visuals or anything. The other day I was drinking not hydrogen water, but some carbonated water. And I heard the bubbles and I'm like, where's that coming from? I'm like, oh shit, that's literally the bubbles in the back of my throat. Oh, cool. So, and that just brings me a little bit more aware. In your case, is that something that you do or have done that has benefited you down the road?
Yeah, a little bit of microdosing. Like I said before, I haven't given it, I don't think, the right amount of time or protocol length or whatever. I've just done it a few times here and there, a few days in a row. And I mean, I noticed colors will pop a little bit more. Just, you know, if I'm taking notes, I could probably dial it in a little bit. But no, for me, the biggest benefit I've done like some very large dose days with magic mushrooms, psilocybin, that have helped me immensely. I've done it 3 times, I think, and they've been the most profound days of my whole life in pockets of my brain and perspectives I didn't know needed to be ironed out, and they make it very, very obvious.
That's wild shit. I don't know what the research is like for psilocybin for brain injury and brain health, but I just had Trevor Miller on. I don't know if you know who that is. He's the guy that has Ambio Life Sciences, the clinic that Sean Ryan went to for his ibogaine experience.
Okay, yeah.
So I just chatted to him last week about ibogaine, which is a psychedelic, and the effects it has. They did a study with mild traumatic brain injury. They scanned the brains before. There was little pockets of just like kind of dead areas. Ibogaine then scanned after, and those dead pockets were gone. So I don't know if that's all psychedelics that have that effect, but at least from the guys that I've talked to that have had serious, and in my opinion, I don't think as many guys have PTSD as I think we're saying. I think it's a lot of it is a post concussion syndrome.
Well, it's just because there's such an overlap in symptoms.
It's basically the same, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So everybody's saying like they're quote unquote cured, right? Like they don't have the symptoms. If they did have, if it was traumatic brain injury that was causing their issues, which is fascinating to me. But when you were like, I'm assuming you weren't doing these mega doses of psilocybin while you were in. But again, was that just something that you just felt compelled to do? Because
so it's like all the other stuff we talked about. It was, I heard, a couple podcasters start talking about it, looked at it a little bit, and I was like, well, fuck, let's try it. And honestly, it was after my brother passed away, it was like the most challenging. It was like the thing I didn't know how to properly deal with. I thought out of all the, the nutrition, meditation, all the stuff I was doing and work I was putting in to process what I was doing for a job as like a sniper in special operations, I was like, yeah, I got a good handle on how to deal with stuff. And then when my brother died, I did not. I didn't know. It caught me so off guard. You have expectations that they're going to be in your life for all this time, and you're going to get so many more fishing trips, and it'll be my daughter's wedding and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it was gone, and I was like, I fucking didn't know how to deal with it. And so when I started learning about psilocybin, like in big doses, helping people with trauma and PTSD, I'm like, it's got to be the same. So I just took a shitload one afternoon, told Sarah to leave the house, and I did it in a very, like, I was meditating. It was a meditative state, but it took me on a journey that was insane. But to this day was the most profound day of my whole life. And in one afternoon of 6 hours, I think, by the time the intense stuff was over and I was just like tripping on clouds and leaves, it took me from not knowing how to deal with this grief and remorse to feeling completely at peace with it, completely, in one afternoon. And it's been that way ever since.
Man,
and
that's
not
so
even
wild.
To mention a whole host of other lessons and things that I didn't know I needed to have.
It's like, hey, you got this? Yeah, great. I'm glad you've seen this. Okay, by the way, and then they're just like dragging stuff out of the attic, right?
That's it. It was like cleaning out the closets, and it was the scaredest I'd ever been, the most, like, the saddest I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been, most euphoric. Like, it was this roller coaster of things. And like, if I was being filmed, it'd be like, get an ambulance. This guy's not having a good trip. Fucking wake him up somehow. And because you remember all of it, and I was just so glad I told Sarah to leave. But like, at the end of it all, I went outside and I laid on the grass, was looking up at the clouds, like, holy shit. I couldn't believe how profound one afternoon was in my life. Yeah.
That's so wild to hear, man.
Insane.
The power that we have, and like these are plants, man. And not to mention our breath as well that we just talked about.
Yeah.
The healing modalities that are available that I thought were just for hippie weirdos back in the day. Yeah. Man, fuck, I was so wrong. Like, this is such a groundbreaking. I'm all in now on the psychedelics and breath work and cold exposure to really heal, because before I was getting better, but I don't think I was healing. Yeah. And what you're talking about, the grief that you're dealing with your brother, right? Like, that is a profound grief. Like, I haven't had to deal with that type of grief, right? But I have had to deal with other things that when I was there in Mexico, I had this wild experience, and it was just calming. I had this like literal visions of, I'm going to say it was God, but who knows? It wasn't my voice telling me, hey, dude, things are okay. Your family's good. I got you. Like, just these things were so comforting. Yeah. It's wild that you can go into these spaces in your mind and sort them out and be like, that's fascinating to me. So I'm glad you shared that, man. That's
and I like looking at it as like healing so that you can thrive. Do you know what I mean? And helping you to thrive instead of just like fixing yourself. Like, oh, good, I'm all fixed up now, and then stopping. It's like you're supposed to be thriving. Like, that's, you heal stuff that's holding you back so that you can, fly off into whatever it is your potential allows. That's you know.
Yeah, I agree. It's encouraging to see in the US they're starting to push hard for veterans that get access to
Yeah.
psychedelics. We don't have that push here, unfortunately, in Canada. I'm hoping that slowly but surely, like we have the ketamine stuff. Like they opened up the gate to plant medicine with giving us free weed. It should be a no
Yeah.
brainer. Hey, this is okay. It's not. It's a fungus. Okay, maybe you got us on that. Maybe because it's a fungus. That's that they're anti-fungus. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. But it should be a no brainer that they start opening that door up. If they are so accommodating for the weed thing, which I think has its place, but it's definitely not as therapeutic in my opinion, and then as psilocybin and other psychedelics. So I guess we'll have to see, man. We'll be the advocates, I guess,
Yeah.
for pushing
I
for
mean,
that.
you can still go get it. Any veterans out there, you can find it. You can do it.
Yeah, but I
Highly
mean, it's
recommend it.
yeah, I highly recommended. Highly recommended. Okay, so we've covered out the protocol. So just to recap, you play music, you do your PT regularly, you eat a relatively low carbohydrate diet, you cold plunge, you have strong faith, and you occasionally do some mushrooms. So there you go. That's the Dallas protocol in a nutshell. That for long-term health and fitness. I love it. Now let's move into when we wrap up here. I want to know, you posted about Carney. That's Mark Carney, who's now the Prime Minister of Canada. Great reel the other day. Well, I shouldn't say the other day, it was a few weeks ago, that you're like, hey, I'm not really fond of just somebody being installed as PM. And I was like, hell's yeah, I don't like that either. So I'm struggling with that here in Canada. I don't know what's going to happen. What are your thoughts now that we're in the middle of an election campaign? Where do you think the country's going, man? What are your thoughts on Canada? I know you moved away, or like you said, like I'm still a proud Canadian. What's that feeling like now that you're, are you an expat now? I guess because you're in the States.
No, no, no. I
No.
still have like my citizenship is still
Okay.
Canada. I still have property in Canada. I still despise Canadian taxes and capital gains taxes. I mean, the post I made about Carney is just like I understand how our system works and that there's a bunch of loopholes you can play. Like he's not I know he's not there illegally. I just
Yeah.
don't like how our system is played and how the people in Canada get played over and over and over again. Being fooled into just an ever increasing tax rate, unaffordable living, and all of this stuff. Like it's crazy. Right now, what I'm down in the States most of the time. What I see is this narrative that like because now I either talk to my friends or I see what's on the news a little bit, which I generally try to avoid anyway. But people are falling for the same thing in Canada. Like when the CBC lied to everyone all through COVID, and that was the only truth. And then it comes out later, almost none of it was true. And you're like, oh shit, well, it was on the news. That's what they're doing now. They're saying all of the economic problems in Canada are because Donald Trump put a tariff on us 2 days ago. No, it's years and years and years of mismanaged money and terrible leadership that got us to this point why kids can't go buy a house when they start working in their 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like why people are having such a hard time because you're giving away a gigantic portion of your income to a government that throws it directly in the garbage. That has nothing to do with tariffs from the US. So people think I'm always like, oh, pro US, standing up for Trump. I don't give a fuck about their politics, to be honest. Just make it easy for me to get a work visa so I can play music there. For me, it's Canadians have like been okay with just getting raped with taxes and increasing and increasing and increasing. And as soon as the news tells you where to point the finger, oh, the economy is terrible because of COVID and all this. No, it's terrible because of our reaction to this thing that was essentially the flu. And now they're blaming it on some tariff that started again. Like, well, it's not even implemented to a point where it could affect any business, but they're blaming it on Donald Trump and the state of our economy. That's what blows my mind. So I just hope people vote for less taxes.
Dude, especially like I'm sure you see it too, right? As soon as you start running your own business, right? Shit, man. Like no wonder people pack up and go to the US. It's a no-brainer move. If as soon as you have a company and you start making money, you don't want your bottom line to be affected because the government is taking a shit ton of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So, oh wait, I can go across the border, which is not that big of a move. Pretty much the same culture, more or less, but you can have a thriving business that the government doesn't put their dirty little fingers all over. It's for me even it's hard to even think of a long-term future here because believe it or not, like I'm Canadian, I actually like making money. You know, it's
Yeah.
almost like dirty for like a Canadian to say, it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
like making money. It feels good. I like being able to buy stuff for my kids and my family and go on trips. Like who would have thought, right? I'd rather I have it than the government have it. But when you're talking about taxes and the way we've just been governed for so long, it feels like we have an unserious country in
Yeah.
terms of like this in general, like the way you're speaking. Well, you're a serious guy, clearly. I mean, you're chill, but you're serious and you're principled. So, what would be, I guess, what would be like your ideal situation? Like, obviously, low taxes, but in terms of like, how would you like to see, I guess, like the next 10 years? How would you like to see Canada kind of turn around and behave?
Oh, if I could snap my fingers, I would there would be a few things. So one, I think that we need to change how taxes are spent and how they're tracked and how they're divided up. So we are in an age where everything is enhanced. I mean, we argue that sometimes it's not, but by technology, at least makes stuff a lot more efficient. So if every single person had a login or a tax account or an app where they say, look, I make this much money, and which means I pay $40,000 in taxes. I want it to go into this, I want it to go into this, and I want it to go into that. That way, you can't just hand over your money to the government and they can throw it directly in the garbage. And if anyone wants to argue on this, I spent 17 years working for the government. I know that they are the worst at managing money, at investing money, at spending appropriately. Everybody knows that if you have a contract somewhere, the government will spend 3 times that for a pencil. Do you
Easy,
know what I mean?
easy, easy.
So it would be super easy to use technology and say, look, as this Canadian citizen, here's my social insurance or my SIN. I want my taxes last year is this amount to go into this, to go into this, to go into this, to go into that. That's one way. Instead of just like, yeah, I'm going to trust this party who I don't agree with most of their stuff, but I have to vote for them because the other one's even worse, to just use my money. I think it's terrible. I also think that there's people as a population, we need to hold the government more accountable. Like they work for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, what do you think we should do? And then they go and do it. Or not even that. What do you have the power to do? They do it without talking to anyone. I don't actually, because as a population, we're so easily manipulated. I don't actually even know how to solve that one other than just having that conversation where people learn that the government is for, it's supposed to be for us the way it is right now. Like we don't have a king that hands it down to his son. We are supposed to vote for the person and the party and the beliefs that are best for all of us that live in this country and have to like walk down the street and follow whatever laws are put into place and try and buy properties and food and things that make our lives good. And I think right now, all of that is being done in a terrible way.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's a novel solution. I would say that that's a problem that can be solved with blockchain. You could set up the
Yeah,
contracts. You could, but the thing is, it would take all the power away from the the ruling party. So
exactly.
there's no
That's what
ruling
we're
party that's going to want that. So that would have to be a
fighting
bottom up.
against.
That would have to be a bottom up. It's like, no, 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 it's happening because this is what we want and it's
Yeah.
going to get done, which has been done in the past. Canada just hasn't had its moment where the people literally said, no, this is not acceptable. We're not doing
Yeah.
this, except for the trucker convoy, which got smashed, right? Tamara Litch, right? 2 years for process in the courts for a mischief charge. You know, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? You know, like you can protest anything you want here, except the
Yeah.
stuff that we don't want you to protest against. You know, like
Yeah. That
like
got
when it's
really
against
crazy.
us. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Okay, so better taxation in terms of like where your money goes, and a conversation that I think what we're talking about here is just be more civically aware, man. Thanks to this podcast, I'm way more civically aware, which has been a net positive for me. But it also makes me realize, oh shit, we got so much freaking work to do as
Yeah.
Canadians. It's so far behind, in my opinion, to even start is almost so daunting. And it's like, maybe
Well,
I'll
again,
just go to the
being
US.
like being the dreamer that I am, like there's a lot of ways that Canada, in my opinion, is better than the US. And I also think we have enough in this country that I don't believe anyone should have to pay income taxes. the resources we have to be able
Yes.
to use, the fact that we are drastically below carbon neutral with the amount of land we have that are all it is trees. Like if you go anywhere within 100 miles of the border north, it's just only trees taking fucking carbon dioxide and turning it into oxygen. All of these, by every metric, we're just like a country that should be absolutely thriving, getting money sent to us from the government. Like, good job, everybody. Here's some more money. We don't need your money because we're running a fantastic government, which is being run like a great business with all the resources we have. Like, I don't see why that's not possible.
Me neither.
And it's not some ignorant dream. It's having worked in the government. It's having run a business of my own. It's all these different things. It should be happening. And I think people, if they really just think about the life you would have as a Canadian, how amazing. Like, we don't pay taxes, and we have money left over to take care of people that need it in our country. You know, the homeless is decreasing because just all of the problems that we have right now are being blown up by terrible leadership. They're happening at a much higher rate just because of throwing money away, giving money away, all of this stuff.
I have to agree with you on that, man. The amplification of the problems allows for people to, I mean the political parties to jump on them and use them as a tool to manipulate and divide, right? And it's unfortunate because I think everybody wants more or less the same thing. You want to have a good life. What that means to everybody's a little bit different, but essentially you want to have, food in the fridge, you want to have a roof over your head, and you want to have family around you. I think everybody can pretty much agree to that. It doesn't even matter if you're not Canadian. That's pretty much a human thing.
Yes.
For us, I agree, man. The most frustrating thing about living here is we have so much of everything, but yet we squander all of it. And like, why do I have to wait a fucking year to see a doctor? That doesn't make any sense. We should have sure. Like, you go to Europe, they're like, yeah, come on in. No problem. Yeah, I'll see you in 15 minutes. Here, it's ridiculous. The taxes, 50% of everything you make, gone. Well, where's it go to? My roads suck. My hospitals suck. So all these like institutional problems, I don't think have been confronted by anybody really. It's just because in my lifetime, things were pretty good up until now. So in my mind, I was like, oh no, Canada was great. I had this arrogance that we're always better than the United States. But I think we're just at that crossroads now that we need to just figure our shit out and have smart people like yourself actually get listened to. Hey, who'd have thought, like maybe guys that put their ass in the line for the country have a few things to say about where we should go moving forward. So that being said, election's coming up in a few weeks. We'll see where this goes. At the end of the day, you're living for the moment. It doesn't seem like it's going to bother you anyways. Like myself, hey man, like a politician's not going to get in my head and, ruin my day. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are in that state where they just get their day ruined by politicians that don't really care about you. So before we wrap up here, you have a few dates coming up for your tour. And we want to make sure that some folks can get some tickets. So let's go through some of the dates and explain what you're up to in the coming months.
Yeah, basically, the next few weeks, I've got a couple of little things in the U.S. and a bunch of songwriting to focus on. But then we're starting end of May, early June, big kind of cross Canada tour. Starting not fully cross Canada, but starting in Ontario. Mm-hmm. We've got a bunch of shows moving across to Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, all kinds of towns in Alberta, and all the way to the West Coast, playing in Vancouver, Kelowna, some shows. So we got all that coming up. Should be a city near you if you're in Canada, relatively, unless you're far on the East Coast. Sorry, my apologies.
Sorry, anything east of Ottawa, too bad, so sad. It's all right, Dallas. No hard feelings, man. I get it. We
reached out to a bunch of venues. I will say we tried, and it was no one got back to us, or it was a big pain in the ass. So we tried to start on the East Coast, but we'll get there. We'll get there
eventually. Well, I've got my tickets for June in Ottawa, so I can't wait. I'm really excited. Saw you last time in London, Ontario at the VA event.
Yeah.
That was really good. Good to see you live there too. So let's put some tickets available, 2 tickets available. Folks, I'm going to be doing a raffle in the comments. So look to the comments for more details. But we're going to be raffling those off. And Dallas has graciously decided to give 2 tickets away. And so for all the dates that were mentioned there, all you have to do is just let us know the closest one to you, and we'll get you a pair of tickets so you can listen to you live. Now,
Ottawa sold out. Sorry, folks.
Sorry, folks. I would potentially. I have 4 tickets. I went all out.
Oh, there you go.
For the right offer, I might consider giving up 2 tickets. But the problem is I have to go with my daughter. I have to go. She'll be devastated if she can't go. So that means my son and my wife might have to bail. So it have to be a pretty sweet deal. But being said,
if it's near Ottawa, we're playing in Cornwall. That's just down the road.
Yeah. Aren't you playing Pembroke too?
Pembroke's just up the road, depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah, those.
Yeah. So love everything that you're doing, man. Really like the music is really tight, and your last album is on a repeat in the house all the time.
Thanks, man.
Have you got any other albums in the works as we speak?
I've got a new single. It's recorded, it's mastered, everything's good to go. We're just making a release plan for it. I'm going to try and put it out while we're on tour early June, and do a single on the next one. I'm excited about it. It's sounding pretty damn cool right now to me. Yeah, just keep pumping out music.
Very cool. I have to say, we joked about Adios Amigo being the most morbid children's song ever written. I think What a Way to Go is either it tops it, or like you're pumping out really good children's songs that have got a really dark side to them, and my kids fucking love them, man.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man, that's really cool. So Dallas, man, I really appreciate your time as always. It's really cool to sit down and have a chat. You're always welcome here in the podcast to have a chat. Any last parting words before we sign off today?
Yes. Even though we've discussed politics and all kinds of problems and issues and all of that stuff, I just always like to remind people that if you put your phone down and don't turn on the TV, your life is probably pretty amazing, regardless of if you live in Canada or the US. For the most part, it's very beautiful out there, and just keep that in mind.
Yeah, go touch grass, go get in a cold tank.
It's like, if it's becoming too much, just put your phone down. Just don't look at your phone. Try it for like a week. Your fucking mind will be blown. Oh, wow, the world's not burning down.
I posted something. It made me laugh out loud. It's like, somewhere some poor fool is sitting in front of a waterfall with no phone, not realizing he has to be mad and worried about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically it, man. It's basically it. Be present. Put your phone away. I agree. Great words of advice, man. Really appreciate it. So folks, you know what you got to do. Go check out Dallas's stuff. I'll be putting the links here in the description. If you can make one of his tour dates, awesome. Drop some comments here. I'll give more details to you in the comments, as well as how you can win those tickets. And don't forget, train hard, fight easy. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Right.